called my strokes, grubs, my mess ups, because he's already prepared for what I might do. He knows what I'm going to do before I do it, and he already made preparation for me before I get there. What follows darkness is light. That darkness is the indicator that light is getting ready to shine. So there it is in Genesis, when darkness was upon the face of the deep, and God in the spirit form moved upon the face of the waters, and then God said, let there be. Because darkness precedes the light. Are you understanding what I'm saying? But he needs the darkness there so that God can move upon the face of the deep, so that the shift can take place. Listen, look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor that shift take place in the darkness. God, y'all didn't hear what I just said. Everybody's not going to see the shift that's happening. They see the chaos, but they don't see the shift. They see all the craziness going on in your life, but they don't understand that underneath the darkness, God is moving in secret. He's moving in quiet. He's moving in the hidden places. He's moving in the cracks and the corners and the crevices. He's moving in places that you cannot see. And when the light comes, they're going to see a new order. Afraid to dream, afraid to imagine. But I'm here to tell you that you are an infinite, limitless, boundless being. Are you willing to do what is necessary to have what you desire?
Thank you for joining us. Please take a moment and like the Facebook page. Subscribe to the YouTube page and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live. If you are finding value in these enrichment sessions, please consider supporting this page financially. Your donations allow us to continue to provide spiritual enlightenment, self-exploration, and kingdom knowledge. Also, consider becoming a partner because partnerships have this privilege. As a partner, you'll be able to attend our annual Partners Only Summer Summit, join us for our 6 a.m. virtual daily guided meditation sessions, weekly advanced empowerment sessions, regular prophetic insights and instructions, 30% discount on all Emerge books and merchandise, and a custom Emerge t-shirt. You'll also gain full access to the private Emerge movement community page as well as group chats. Once again, thank you for watching.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Emerge Empowerment Session. I'm your host, Isaac J. Miles Sr., and I am so glad for all of you that are streaming and watching us live across all platforms. You have just come and entered one of the most powerful places on the planet, because this is where we're not trying to tell you what to think, but we're teaching you how to think, how to engage your critical mind, your logical mind, and teaching you or equipping you with the tools necessary for you to create, cultivate, and curate the life that you design and desire. Okay, this is not religion. This is just giving you information that's on a conscious, spiritual, evolved, elevated level, using material from a lot of different spiritual affirmations, reformations rather, but mainly giving you information that crosses spiritual as well as metaphysical and psychological, physiological, scientific information that you can research for yourself. I say all the time, you don't have to take anything that I say at face value. Do your own research. And if it resonates with you, embrace it, embody it, live it out, and let it work for you. If it doesn't, simply let it go and keep it moving. Okay? But I am certain that if you'll listen and you'll participate, you're going to hear and experience some information, some insight, some words that are going to positively impact your life and possibly change the entire trajectory of your life as you apply the practical principles that we are learning and discussing in this broadcast. So once again, thank you for joining me, all of you on every single platform. I'm looking at all of you. Now, I may not be making eye contact with everyone because I got to turn to all three cameras to try and talk to those who are on all the platforms. But please know that I am thinking of you, and I am watching the comment section on all three platforms so that I'm able to see what your insights, your input are, as well as any questions that you may have. Hello, Queen. How you doing? Felicia, good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Louise, I'm glad that you're on as well. Please continue to invite your friends, share this live with everyone. And I need everybody on every platform to do the same. Take a moment right now before we begin the conversation and share. Share this live with as many people as you can. Go ahead and copy the link and send it out to your group chat and your family chat and your friend circle. Send it out to your mama them, your cousin them, and everybody, lottie dottie, and every doggone body, because I want as many people as we possibly can to participate in this conversation. I want to hear your thoughts, which brings me to the next thing. I really request that all of you engage as we go through this conversation. Double tap that screen or hit me with some hearts on whatever platform that you're in. Engage in the conversation, because when you do so, you help us to expand our platform and reach a larger audience. So I need the hearts. I want to run those hearts up. Now, on one of the platforms, there are gifts that you can, well, actually, two of the platforms, there are gifts that you can give. You're not required to give anything. But if you decide that you want to do that, then I welcome it. I appreciate it. They're little small trinket things. I think that cost like 1 or 2 cents a piece to send or something like that. If you want to do that, you're more than welcome. We set an arbitrary goal up there. And so if you want to follow that and participate in that, you're more than welcome. I'm more concerned that you actually participate and listen in the conversation so that we can have a good, healthy, robust conversation on the subject matter at hand. Okay? So I think that that's all of the housekeeping pieces that I needed to touch on. I am going to stick to the schedule as much as I possibly can to only be on for no more than an hour. If we happen to go over, charge it to my head and not to my heart. Sometimes I get a little excited and caught up and I might go over a few minutes, but I promise you I'm not going to try and keep you on here a long time. And I've got some regular followers that will definitely send me a note in the comments or send me a text and say, okay. So I appreciate you. I really do. Thank you so much for doing so. Hey, Toya, good to see you. Glad that you are on with us. Hey, Sam, it's good seeing you as well. Glad that you're able to tune in. Hello, Jamie. I see you. I see you. Glad that you are here. Please say hello in the comments. Hello there. Hi, Sharon. It's good to see you as well. Hello, 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 James. Cedric, good to see you over here. Glad that you're on as well. Everybody, if I start going through calling all of the names, I'm going to miss some people. Please, if I don't call your name, don't think that I don't appreciate you being on with us. I am so happy, but I've got a plethora of people across platforms. So I may not be able to call all of your names, but I see you. Stacy, I see you. Carlos, what's up, bruh? Man, I'm so glad that you're on. Man, hang in here with me. I am so glad you are here. Hang in, hang in. I keep saying that I want to contact you. Man, I haven't been able to reach out yet, but we have got to connect. We have got to talk and catch up. You will never guess that I'm back in your neck of the woods. Yes, I am. I'll get in contact with you. I gotta let you know where I am and how we can connect and maybe go grab some lunch or something. It's good that you're here, man. I'm glad you're here. All right. Before I get too distracted, okay? I'm drinking tea today. What are you drinking? I hope you have a good beverage that you're drinking, whatever you decide to drink, something that's going to make you comfortable and you're prepared to take some notes because it's going to get deep. And it's a lot of information. I'm drinking lemon ginger. All right. So the conversation has been around the journey to remembrance. And we have been taking a very close exegetical, theological, scientific, critical thinking wise look at a particular verse that is found in Romans chapter 8. Okay, Romans chapter 8. Now, the principle that is applied here from this particular verse or in this chapter is a universal principle that you will find in the Quran. You will find it also in the Bhagavad Gita, and you find its original reference in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which predates the Bible by about 30 to 40,000 years. So, I mean, these are not original, these ideas did not originate with the Bible, but they are universal principles that when you begin to study them, the essence of what is being said, they are sound principles that you can use to begin to, again, create, cultivate, and curate the designed life that you desire. Okay? So, Romans chapter 8, verses 29 and 30. In that particular text, you find the words, whom he did foreknow, them he also predestined, that they might be conformed to the image of the Son, that is Jesus the Christ. Now, we covered all of that in the previous 3 lessons that we've already had, the conversations. We talked about foreknowledge. We talked about predestination. We talked about what you were predestined for. Not that your whole life is planned out and every step you take and every move you make and every decision that you make is already determined by God and you're basically just a marionette on a string, that God is the puppeteer and you're just like a robot following the different orders of God, and you don't really have any freedom of thought or choice or consciousness. That is not what this term predestination in the context of the verse that is used means. It means that your end, your outcome has been predestined, and it also tells us very specifically what outcome has been predestined. Not your entire life outcome has been predestined, but it says that it limits it, rather, or narrows it to one specific thing, that you are predestined to be conformed, that is, to be remade, shaped, imaged in the image, the likeness of Jesus the Christ. In other words, to be just like Jesus, who was the Christ. And we understood that Christ is not a part of Jesus's name. It was a title, and it expressed his divinity, it expressed his power, it expressed his oneness with God. And so it can be applied to us because we are being conformed, made in the same likeness, the same image, the same capacity as Jesus. And we saw in our previous conversation that Jesus backed this up himself according to what is written in Scripture. That Jesus himself from his own mouth said, everything that you've seen me do, you can do it too. Nothing supernatural special about me that is beyond you. Everything, he says, everything you've seen me do, you have the same capacity, authority, and ability to do it as well. So this is what it means to be conformed, or to become just like Jesus the Christ, just as anointed, just as powerful, and just as one with God as Christ. Now, I'm not going to rehearse all of that again because we discussed it in great detail in our last 3 lessons, okay? I want to get to this next piece. So, foreknowledge, we understood. I'm reviewing this very quickly so that we can keep following the pattern forward. Foreknowledge, whom God foreknew. We understood from our previous lessons that to know something means that you have an intimate acquaintance with, you are attached with it, that it had to exist in order for it to be known. And the scripture says that God foreknew us. Whoever God foreknew. Well, since God is omniscient, that is all-knowing, then there is no one that God did not know. Nobody snuck into the earth. Nobody snuck into this dimension outside of the scope and the knowledge of God. God knows everyone, okay? There's a song that's out by a gospel artist that he put out some time ago. I am not forgotten. God knows my name. And when I hear it, I'm just like, well, yeah, God knows everybody's name. There's nobody that God's name, God does not know, rather, whose name God does not know. God knows us all. We were all known prior to our coming here, which means we had to exist in some place or some form prior to our coming into this 3-dimensional realm. And the text, the scripture text in Ephesians chapter 1 tells us exactly when and where we existed. We looked at this again in the past lesson because it says, whom God foreknew. It says that God chose us, selected us, knew us when, where rather, it says, in himself. It uses the male pronoun, but we know God is a spirit, neither male nor female, but both male and female. Okay? But in himself, when did God choose us in himself? Before the foundations of the world. Okay? Before the foundation of the world. That means before there was ever a blueprint, before there was ever any let there be light, this, that, or the other, that we all knew God, we all existed in God, and God did not create a world and then create us to put us in the world, but God created us and then created a world for us to inhabit. Before there was a world, before there was any concept of a world, we existed in God, and we were chosen by God in Himself before the foundations of the world. And then in that same place in eternity past, if you can say past, in that place prior to the foundations of the world, it was predetermined, predestined, that when we entered this three-dimensional existence, this earth realm, when we became a human expression of all that God is, we would ultimately be conformed into the image of Jesus the Christ, that we would be just like the prime example that's used in the Bible, or in the Quran, it's Muhammad, or in the Gita, then it's Krishna. It does not matter who the human prototype is for whatever religious ideology. It is about us understanding that we have the capacity to be just as powerful, that we are the divine vessels, the temples, if you will, through which the all of everything that is God experiences and expresses itself in this three-dimensional form. Okay? Now, that is the progression that brings us to the next part of the verse. Whom He did predestinate, them He also called. Okay? Moreover, whom He did predestinate, them He also called. Now, I want you to really dig in, pay attention, and think for a moment of the implication behind this statement. How radical this statement had to be at the time that it was written, and just how radical it is right now, because it eradicates a lot of the dogma, the legalism, and even the common thought, not only held in religion, but in culture and environment around us. The text says that we are called. We were, rather, not are, we were called. You see, it's written in the past tense. Whom He did predestinate, them He also called. When? Before the foundations of the world, before the world began, before time began, before God began the beginning. God chose, selected, empowered, and then called us, predestined, and then called us. Our calling was solidified. Our calling was already set in place. We entered this three-dimensional realm already called. Now, that right there should bring some relief and joy to some of you that are watching me right now, because this simply means, ladies and gentlemen, your life is not an accident. Oh, that you are not someone who just stumbled into this earth or into this existence. And even though your mama and daddy may say, well, we weren't expecting you, you caught us by surprise. You may have, but you did not catch God by surprise. You were planned. You and God co-created this existence prior to your coming into this three-dimensional form. You agreed to enter this realm at the specific day, the specific time, in the specific place that you came. You were not forced in. You were not accidentally brought in. You were not a coincidence. You were not happenstance. Your life, because it has meaning and purpose, because it has value, it was strategically released at the moment that it was to enter into this realm to fulfill a original intent or a specific purpose for your being here. So I need everybody that's listening to me right now to just breathe this in for one moment. Your life is not an accident. Nothing about your life is accidental. Nothing about your life is a coincidence. Nothing about your life, your existence is happenstance. And even though it might feel sometimes chaotic, like anarchy, like things are just completely out of control, they are not. They are following a specific plan and pattern that was co-created with God prior to your entering this world. You keep hearing me say co-created. Some of you are asking, what do you mean? Well, who co-created it with God? You. You who were living in God prior to the foundation of the earth. Every iteration of life that you will ever experience has already been co-created between you and God, and you chose, not by force. You weren't like shot out of a cannon. You chose for every iteration when you would enter form and began the experience of this thing that we call life. So your life is not an accident. Your life is not some happenstance. You are not a series of mistakes. It may appear that way to those who are three-dimensional thinkers. They may not have been consciously aware of your coming at the moment, but you were thought about. You're a part of a plan, something specifically idiosyncratic to you, but also something much larger than you because you are part of the whole. So you are the entire ocean in a drop and a drop in the ocean. I want you to think about what I just said. You are the entire ocean in a drop, as well as a drop in the ocean. You are an individualized expression of God in the earth, and you are everything that God is in this individualized expression. There is no part of God that is not inside of you. That's why you can do anything that Jesus did or Muhammad did or that Krishna did or that any other person has done. None of them greater than you, because you have the same. Even the scriptures in your Bible says the same spirit, that same energy, force, power, anointing that raised Jesus the Christ from the dead is what quickens or animates or makes alive your human form, your mortal body. The same essence, the same material. So it's the same God that was one with Jesus the Christ that is one with you, the Christ. Let that marinate for a moment. I want you to think about the implication. Now, if we're going to understand the depth of Paul's progression that he writes in Romans chapter 8, verses 29 through 30, we must move beyond the traditional understanding of what calling is. That calling is not merely receiving a vocation or a ministry or an assignment. There's a calling on your life. Well, there's a calling on everybody's life. So I want you to stop being amazed, and I want you to stop falling out and blubbering and spitting bubbles and jumping over pews because some prophet tells you, the Lord has shown me that there's a call on your life. There's a call on everybody's life. Yes. Because whomever God foreknew, he predestined. And whomever he predestined, he called. But guess what? God foreknew everybody. So God predestined everybody and called everybody. So there's a calling on everybody's life. So this is not about being called to ministry. It's not being called to a vocation. It's not being called to a specific assignment. I'm not saying that there are not those who have a specific ministry or vocation or an assignment or a specific, job that they do within the earth. But that's not what this calling means in the context of the text that's used here, of what this conversation is putting forward. It is not talking about a vocation. It is not talking about a ministry. It is not talking about a title. Okay? Come on, I need you to really grasp this. I need you to declutter and deconstruct that whole ideology. This is not about, well, I'm called to be a prophet to the nation. Everybody's claimed to be a prophet to the nation. Is there anybody a prophet to their neighborhood or the children or the family? Everybody a prophet to the nation. Y'all just delusional. Stop it. You're a prophet to the nation, but your crowd is no bigger than the 10 people in your neighborhood or the 3 people that listen to your live on Facebook. How you called to the nation? Okay, anyway, y'all got to forgive me. Sometimes I get silly. All right, yeah, I got a grand total of 450 people following me on TikTok. And you think that's the nation? That's not even a neighborhood. That's okay. All right. So but beside that, now let me come back. But all of us are called. All of us have a calling. All of us are not heeding the calling, but all of us have it. Now, what is this calling that has already taken place that we all are in possession of? Okay? In the context of the soul's journey, calling is far more profound than being summoned to do something. It is being summoned to remember something. The calling is not about a summons to do something. It is a summons to remember something. To remember who you really are. To rediscover your true, authentic identity. To become consciously aware of just how powerful, magnificent, brilliant you really are. Now, for some of you listening to me on whatever platform you're on, this may be the very first time anybody's ever referred to you as brilliant, but you are. And you're going to find out how brilliant as we go further in the conversation. You are brilliant, beautiful. You are intelligent. You're mighty. You're gifted. You're talented. How could you know that, Isaac? You don't know me. Yes, I do. I don't know you as a human. I've never met you face to face or touched your hand or hugged your neck. But we share a common spiritual DNA so that I know exactly these commonalities that exist in every single one of us. You are brilliant. Do you hear me? You're magnificent because you are the vehicle, the vessel, the temple of the living God. You are the body of God, the body of Christ. You are the body. You are God's house, God's dwelling place. We all are. And you are summoned to remember what that means. When when the question is put forth, is there anything too hard for God? Come on, some of you church folk know that one. You've heard that several times. Then I'm here to tell you, you can take that and flip it and now say, is there anything too hard for me? Because if it isn't too hard for God, then it isn't too hard for me. Because I am the vehicle and the vessel through which God works, operates, moves. Even in your Bible, Acts chapter 17 says, in God we live and move and have our very existence. As certain of your poets have said, you are God. Uh-oh, don't get scared. Don't you dare run away. Don't you recoil. Okay? You are God's. You are the expression and the divine essence of all that God is in a human form. Whew. Come on, let's keep going. Okay? So, before it concerns your hands, it concerns your consciousness. The divine does not first call us into activity. The divine God calls us back to awareness, to remind us, to help us reassemble, remember, reconstruct, reconfigure how we see ourselves, know ourselves, and identify ourselves. Most of us don't remember who we are because we have been taught from conception all the way up until adulthood that we're something else. If you enter this realm knowing that you are the essence of God, yet on repeat, all you hear is that you are dumb or stupid or unloved or unwanted, that you're slow, that you're weak, that you're ugly, that you're too black, too slow, too poor, that you're too big, too little, too tall, too short, that you're not enough of this or not enough of that, you easily stop recognizing who you are and you start adapting the identity that's being given to you, what people have labeled you as. And if you're not careful over time, you hear it enough, it becomes your truth and you'll start identifying yourself by the label that someone else gave you. Come on. You'll start saying it about yourself. Well, this is just how I am. I've always been this way. My mama said my grandmama said, this runs in my family. So this is who I am. This is a part of my culture. So this is who I am. Come on. And before you know it, you have given yourself an identity that is antithetical to who your authentic self is. There's another text in the Bible that says faith, and the word pistos is the Greek word that's used for faith, which means it has become your solidified truth, your most dominant belief or thought. That faith, it says, that most dominant truth, belief, or thought cometh by hearing. The word hearing in the Greek is ekion, from which we get the word echo. It literally says that your most dominant thought or belief comes from what you repeatedly hear. And if your entire life, all you've heard is that you're not smart, you're not dumb, you're not intelligent, you're not strong, you're not gifted, you're not talented, you're slow. If you're told your entire life you're a sinner, you're unworthy, you're a pauper, you're no good, God don't even like you. If it wasn't for Jesus, God wouldn't have nothing to do with you. then you will adapt that defeatist, victim conscious and identity, and you'll start saying it about yourself. Come on, you do it already. You singing songs talking about how unworthy you are, how much of a dirty, filthy, nasty rag you are, that you stuck in the muck and the mire, that you sometimes up and sometimes down. You climbing up the rough side of the mountain, that you are weak and worn, and precious Lord, take my hand. Lead me on, help me stand. I am tired. I am weak, and Lord, I is worn. Come on. And you start identifying it because you have accepted this as your truth. And so you navigate and matriculate through life believing that you are weak, worn, unworthy, and just filthy, fit to be thrown away and left on the trash heap. It's only by the blood that gives you your life any little bit of value. Mess around and get out from under that blood, and you ain't worthy of nothing no more. It was ready to throw you out on the trash heap again. Are you hearing what I'm saying? But how can the vessel of God, how can the life that is the breath of God now be worthless and not have any value? What, because of an action, because of a choice? Is God so fragile, so insecure that it ceases to be God in you because of a choice or a decision or an experience that you decided to have? Come on, think for a moment. That's not even logical. Yet that's what we've been told. And so you become that reality. Okay? Hey, B. Fletcher, I'm not bringing anybody on stage at this point, so but I'm glad you are here. I am glad that you are here. Okay? But yeah, so your identity is not what your mama, your grandmama, your cousins, your uncles, your aunties said about you. Your identity is found in God. You are the divine reflection, the animated expression of all that God is. I got to keep going. Man, my time goes by fast. Great day. Whew, it's been over 40 minutes. All right. So the call is the persistent invitation. The call that is mentioned in this particular text that has already taken place and is continuing to echo throughout time and ages and eras is a persistent invitation to remember who you were before you entered this three-dimensional form. That's what the calling is. It's not to be a bishop or an apostle or an imam or a priest. It's not to be a nurse or a doctor or a lawyer. It's not to be, an activist or a senator or whatever. You are called, being summoned to awaken and remember who you were prior to your coming into this three-dimensional form. To remember what you co-created with God prior to coming to this place. To remember the plan that you laid out for your own life in every iteration of life prior to your entrance into this existence. There is your calling. Thank you, Florida. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. That is so kind of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that gift. Okay? The Greek word that is used in this particular text called is kaleo or kaleo. Kaleo literally translates to, I'm going to read this to you, to call, to summon, to invite, or to name or identify. So, moreover, whom he did predestinate to be conformed into the image of the Son, Jesus the Christ, them he also summoned, listen to that, summoned, invited, called, and identified. Notice that it's written in the past tense, not in the present tense, not in an aorist tense that it is continuous, but it is written in the past tense. The call has already gone out. You were called before you got here. You were selected before you got here. You were invited. You were summoned. Are you hearing me? Prior to your coming into this three-dimensional realm. It carries the image of someone being surrounded and summoned into relationship, identity, and purpose. It's not merely an external invitation, but an inward calling and awakening, an inward vibrational frequency that's sending out a signal and looking for its vibrational match. Watch this. Throughout Scripture, whenever God calls someone, the first thing that is transformed in them is not their occupation. It's not their vocation. It's not their job. It's not even their circumstance or their surroundings or their environment. The first thing that is transformed is their awareness. The very first thing that is transformed when they respond to the summons is their awareness. There is an awakening that takes place. When Abraham is called to leave his family, it's because his consciousness has outgrown the environment that he found himself in. When Moses is called from the burning bush, before he receives any instructions, he receives the revelation of the divine presence that he stands in and told, take off your shoes so that your human form can touch this holy ground and be reminded of where you come from. Woo! When Isaiah is called, it's after seeing a vision that forever changed his perception, not only of God, but of himself. Jeremiah is reminded when he is called that he was selected even in his mother's womb. That at the moment of conception, the call was already attached, was already reverberating, was already summoning him. The identity was calling him into the tangible reality of who he is, prior to him ever taking his first human breath. The awakening happens. There's a shift in their consciousness, a shift in who you are. Some of you have already began to experience that in life. Maybe it was in church or in the synagogue or in the temple, or maybe it was riding on a bus or in a conversation you were having with someone or reading a book, or you walked into a place, but something triggered your mind and caused you to awaken, to remember, recall, be reminded that there's more to you than meets the eye, that you are bigger than what Big Mama said about you, that you are bigger than what your cousins and aunties and friends said, and mama and dad, that you are bigger than your trauma, that you're bigger than the heartbreak, you're bigger than the grief and the loss, that you are bigger than the community and the environment or even the culture that you were born into, that there is something greater, something much larger, something more significant about who you are. And you may not even be able to put your finger on it at the moment that it happened, but something inside of you said, hey, there's something different about me. And you have this seemingly irrational idea that there is nothing you're not capable of doing. That if you just put your mind to it and really applied yourself, you could do anything. Even for some of you where life and circumstances have almost beaten that idea out of you and you've become so suppressed and depressed because of the things that you've encountered, but yet you come into a place of awakening where you have a divine encounter that triggers and reminds you, straighten up your crown, because there's nothing bigger than you. That there is something in you that is greater than he that is in the world. Are you understanding what I'm saying to you? This is the calling that is described here in this Romans text. Can we go deeper? Okay. Paul is called on the road to Damascus when and when that calling comes out, he awakens, and what is described in the story in Acts is scales fall from his eyes. That it's symbolic. It is all metaphorical, but what he is simply saying, everything that I have been taught by the Sanhedrin Council, by the Roman Guard, by the community that I have been brought up in, by Gamaliel, who trained and taught me, everything that was told to me prior, he says later on, I counted as dung. It was nothing. It was absolute rubbish when the scales fell from his eyes and he started to realize, I'm bigger than all of this. I'm better than all of this. I am the divine likeness and the image of all that God is. I am the Christ in a human form. I'm anointed. I've been rubbed on. I have the DNA of God coursing through my veins. I'm loaded and coated with all of the divinity of God coursing through every part of my being. Ladies and gentlemen, so as it was with Paul, so it is with you as well. That's right, y'all. Keep those hearts coming. Keep those hearts coming. The more hearts that we get, the more it pushes us out in the algorithm, and we'll start getting a bigger audience. So double tap that screen, hit those hearts over here, hit them over there as well. Keep those hearts flowing and coming. All right? This is what is happening. The call of God is not a singular event, but a continual process of awakening and evolution as we matriculate through this three-dimensional realm. Life itself has become the divine voice, or the voice of the divine whispering in our ear. Remember, whispering through every circumstance, every situation, every encounter, every relationship. Remember, nothing is wasted. Nothing is accidental. Nothing is purposeless. Everything is singularly tied to awaken and trigger you to remember the parts of yourself that's been buried underneath all of the minutia of life, environment, culture, religion, traumas, to awaken that part of you that is the pearl of great price that's been hidden in the soil of your soul. Woo! Are you hearing what I'm saying? We are continually being summoned, not only intellectually, but vibrationally. Consciousness naturally resonates with what aligns with its deepest truth and its deepest nature. Just as a tuning fork begins to vibrate when another tuning fork of the same frequency is struck, the soul responds to the people, places, and things, the ideas, the experiences, the books, the music, the conversations, and the moments that carry the frequency of your original intent, or the frequency of your purpose. And ladies and gentlemen, there are things like breadcrumbs scattered throughout your life along the path that you are walking in every direction that you might choose. And your freedom to choose is not removed, but in every possible choice that you could make, the millions upon trillions of infinite possibilities, there are just as many reminders that are laced in that path that you'll take, and they are their only design, their only purpose is to awaken you, to remind you, to cause you to reassemble, remember, reconstruct, reconfigure, and start to recognize your true, authentic identity. Listen, okay? Where did I leave off? Oh, so we often spend our life, and I wrote this down, and when I wrote it, it made me holler a little bit. I'm not going to holler now, but we often spend our lives asking, what is God calling me to do? How many of you have asked that question before? I know there's something God wants me to do. I don't know what it is, but I'm trying to figure out what is it that God has called me to do. But I want you to know that the bigger, more accurate, and transformative question is not what is God called you to do, but what is life attempting to awaken inside of you? What is it that life, the universe, and all of nature conspiring together are trying to awaken in you? What is it that life is trying to remind you of? What purpose? What intent? See, because what you came here to do is already written in the depth of your soul. It's there in the cracks and corners and crevices, in the obscure places of the soul, waiting to be uncovered and rediscovered. And all of the universe and nature are conspiring together. All of that great cloud of witnesses, of angels and ancestors, all conspire together to remind you, to trigger you to remember what that is, what your purpose is, why you are here, why you are who you are, where you are, when you are. Nothing is wasted. Listen to what I'm saying. Okay? The call is not primarily directing us toward a particular destination, but it is continually returning us to our identity. Every genuine awakening begins with a remembrance. So now, if our original intent was established prior to us coming into this world, if our purpose was established pre-incarnate, then it follows that life itself has been designed to assist us in remembering what that purpose is. What is this purpose that I co-created with God to fulfill in this iteration of life? I believe that we are continually being summoned, not just intellectually, but vibrationally. Okay? Consciousness naturally responds and resonates when it is aligned with whatever its deeper truth is. Those underlying truths, those underlying hidden knowledge that is woven into the fabric of our spiritual DNA. The soul automatically resonates with that when those reminders begin to arise. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Have you ever met someone, and before you could engage in conversation, before you even exchanged any niceties of hello, how you doing, my name is, just coming into their presence, you felt a resonance. You felt something click, something connected. And you knew this was a person that was going to have an impact on your life and you would impact theirs. It's not just persons. Have you ever walked into a place and the moment you walked into the place or drove into the city or arrived at the location without any encounter with any person, without words being spoken, the atmosphere around you shifts, and you could feel that this was a place you could call home, that you were right in the right place at the right time, that there was something significant that was about to take place, that the ground you were standing on was holy ground, set apart, separated, specifically designed for a particular purpose, to awaken something inside of you. You walked into a particular place, and before you could even put in your application for the job, you knew it was yours. Come on. You knew it was yours. You knew that this was the place that you needed to be. You could feel it down at your core, in your toes. You could feel it. Have you ever engaged a thing, a book, or heard a song, or held a conversation, and in the midst of it, you had this sensation of knowing this whole thing, whatever it is going to change and revolutionize your life, that you will never be the same after this encounter, after reading this book, after hearing this song, after having this conversation, after encountering this event, after walking into this place, after meeting this person. Even if the person doesn't remain in your life forever, sometimes they remain for years, other times they remain for moments, and you never see them again. But their impact changes the entire trajectory of your life. Those, ladies and gentlemen, are the breadcrumbs that you left for yourself prior to your entering this three-dimensional realm, to remind you, to cause you to remember your divine reason, your purpose, your meaning that you are going to add to this iteration of life, to remind you of your authentic self, to remind you of just who you are, to break you away from those walls and chains and bondages that have been hoisted upon you by family, environment, and culture, and religion, and trauma, and pain, and grief, and loss, that all try to identify you as something totally different. This encounter awakens you and begins to tear down those walls and reminds you. I said reminds you, changes your mind and causes you to recognize that there's something bigger, something greater, something different, something more expansive about who you are. That relationship, even though it didn't last, and they may have even caused you some hurt, but even the hurt and the pain and the grief and the loss awakened something in you and permanently changed you for the better, because the call was reverberating through the experience, through the encounter, through the place, through the person, through the thing. It was reverberating, and while it caused an emotional pain deep within the crevices and the recesses of your soul, it awakened a part of you that had been sleeping and slumbering, that had the scales still over your eyes, and they began to fall away because of the calling that continues to echo, continues to reverberate, continues to repeat, play on a loop in your life. And that's why when you don't learn the specific lesson that was designed to come from an experience or an encounter, that you are put on repeat, and you find yourself having to repeat the experience again in a different place, with a different form, in a different relationship, or a different encounter, because it is designed to awaken you. And until you are awakened in that area, you can't move on to the next one. Ooh, I know I've been on for more than an hour, because this app over here is making me solve a puzzle. They only do that after an hour. Are you here? Are you understanding what I'm saying? Are you catching what I'm saying? Y'all being real quiet in the comments. I'm over here looking, man. Y'all ain't saying a whole lot. Well, those of you over here are. Those are in the clock. I can't say the name, because then the other platforms get jealous and be ready to kick me off. And so does the clock. But y'all know what I'm saying. The clock. The clock, the book, and the gram. And the tubulations. All four of them. Okay? This helps to explain why certain people enter our lives with such sudden and extraordinary impact. Some arrive to comfort us, some challenge us, some encourage us, while others confront us. Some stay for decades and others appear only briefly. Regardless of their duration, each serves a specific purpose. They become the catalyst for your remembering, constructing, reconfiguring. They set you on a new trajectory to elevate you, to take you higher. If you can get past the pain or the grief that some of these encounters may bring around, and you've got to get past that. If you will mount up on wings of an eagle, in other words, look at it from a higher perspective instead of in the place of grief and anger and bitterness and resentment and madness and all the other, and confusion and insecurity. If you'll rise up on wings of an eagle and look at it from the God perspective, you'll begin to see it was good for me when I was afflicted. That it was a good thing that it happened, that this taught me something. It elevated me. It raised my consciousness. It awakened my mind. It shined a light into the corner cracks and crevices of my conscious mind and caused me to remember. Woo! Be reminded and reconfigure how I view myself. And when I change how I view myself, I change how I view the rest of the world, and my expectations elevate. And when my expectations begin to elevate, faith then is the substance, the essence, the power of the things that I expect. It starts to support my expectation by giving me the tangible evidence that what I cannot see really does exist and is on its way. Manifestation is about to take place. Man, are y'all following me? I'm more excited than y'all are, I think. I am so loving this particular teaching. Are y'all following me? Are you with me? Yes. Yes. Hey, Dana, it's good to see you on here. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. The same principle applies to places and to things. Have you ever walked into a particular city, a forest, a mountain, a sanctuary, a room that felt inexplicably familiar? You felt at peace. You even had a deja vu, like I've been here before. I've seen this place before. Come on. We call it deja vu, but what it is the soul giving you a flashback of the pre-incarnate state where you already co-created this reality. And so you awaken to it in a moment and it feels like, I've done this. I've lived this. I know this place. That's the call. That's the summons. That's the voice crying from the heavens. That is your higher consciousness saying, come up hither. Let me show you something greater. There's something bigger, something greater, something more in depth, something more expansive than you've ever even began to imagine. Eye have not seen, ear have not heard, neither has it entered into the hearts of men, the thing that God has prepared for them. But the text doesn't stop there, because the very next part of the verse says, but God, yay, by the Spirit has made known those things. What things? The things that eye had not seen, ear had not heard, that had not entered into the hearts of men. He said, the Spirit is trying to make all of that known to you by the calling. I'm telling you that you're being summoned. Some of you are sitting in places right now where you are uncomfortable being there, but you keep staying there out of some false sense of loyalty or out of fear or out of familiarity or out of comfort. And so you just stay there even though you know you've outgrown the place, you've outgrown the relationship, you've outgrown the community, you've outgrown the organization, you've outgrown that church, you've outgrown that family, you've outgrown that encounter, you've outgrown whatever that job, you've outgrown it, but you stay there because it gives you a sense of security, a sense of stability. But there's something that is pulling and pushing at you. There's something that is summoning you. There's something that's calling you. There's something beckoning to you, saying, come up hither, come up higher, come out deeper, launch out into the deep. Because there's something bigger, greater, and more expansive that's waiting on you. You are bigger than what you imagine. You are greater than what you ever even thought. You have something inside of you that is more astronomical than your mama, daddy, cousins, sisters, and aunties, boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, children have ever even imagined. You have no idea consciously how magnificent and phenomenally huge you are consciously. Now, you know, at a soul level, your soul knows, even your cells, at the molecular level, your souls, your DNA, they all know. They're just waiting for your mind to catch up with what your soul already knows. Woo! I'm trying to hurry because I've already been on for more than an hour, and I said I wouldn't go far over that hour. I got a little bit more that I want to drop on you, and then I'm going to be through with it. Okay, y'all with me? Y'all gonna hang? The numbers are still up. There's quite a few of you on still, so I'm assuming that you're enjoying this. You're learning something. You're gaining from it. Hang in there. Watch this, because I want to bring in the secular, not just the spiritual. Modern psychology provides an intriguing parallel. Well, before I get to the modern psychology part, I skipped a part here. There are teachings that we understand intellectually, and then there are teachings that awaken something so deep in us that we feel like it's less of a lesson and more like remembering. Because remember, no pun intended. Remember that you are the divine animated expression of God, and God knows everything. There's nothing that God does not know. So then that means all the knowledge of God is encased inside of you. Now, you're not consciously aware of all that you know, but you know. You just don't know that you know, because that knowing is inside you. That divine knowing, all-knowing, omniscient spirit is alive and active inside of you. But then there is this calling that is taking place that happens when you encounter certain teachings, like some of you are experiencing right now while I'm teaching you this. It's like refreshing, reviving, but it's also familiar. There's a part of you that's like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that resonates with me. Yeah, I'm not actually teaching you as much as I am reminding you of what you already knew, but had forgotten that you know. Are you hearing what I'm saying? You know, you just don't know that you know. Okay? It awakens it. Plato referred to this as anamnesis. Anamnesis. It means, it is the notion that genuine learning is the recollection of truth already present within the soul. It is awakening to knowledge that is already weaved and woven into our DNA, loaded and coded within the realms of our soul. Whether or not anyone accepts that metaphysical explanation, know that it is true, but that it is not just metaphysical. because modern psychology provides an intriguing parallel to this through the work of Carl Jung, who describes something that we call synchronicity. And most of you are familiar with synchronicities. You relate it to things like these repetitive numbers that you see: 444, 333, 111, 777, and so on and so forth. But synchronicities is not limited to numbers. Synchronicities as are meaningful or what appears to be coincidences connected not by direct causation but by significance. While psychology does not attribute these to pre-incarnate purpose, Carl Jung recognizes that certain encounters possess an undeniable symbolic quality that invites deeper awareness. In other words, from the perspective of this understanding and teaching, synchronicities become breadcrumbs scattered along the path of remembrance. They are breadcrumbs that we left for ourselves, scattered along the path and the journey of remembrance that we're all on, to awaken us to what we've always known but have forgotten, that is now buried within the soul. I had an encounter that I shared with the partners who are a part of the Emerge family, where I was pulling up to the curb of this place, and as soon as I got out of the car, lined up on the curb were these 7 pennies in perfect form, in a perfect straight line, sitting there on the curb. And I noticed them immediately when I got out of the car. I looked down, and there they were on the curb in one singular line, like somebody had put them there for me to find them, laid out in a straight single line. And I knew it was a synchronicity. I knew that this was a sign, a synchronicity, something that was meant to grab my attention, to awaken me to something I could not figure out what it was. I asked those who were partners with Emerge, I told them about it and entertained their ideas of what they thought it might mean, what it was coming from. And I toiled with it and researched it and looked at, numerology, the number 7, and looked at lines and looked at figures and the time of day and what was happening with the planetary systems and the constellations and astrophysics and what may have been happening in the quantum field. And I looked at it from all different angles and could not come to an understanding. And do you understand? Do you know? Can I tell you that in the midst of what I considered a casual conversation with someone, without any precursor or warning, without me ever even telling them that I had this encounter, they knew nothing about it at all, that I had this synchronicity, they started to tell me about a story that involved pennies. And the moment they started to tell the story, it brought back the synchronicity and it clicked. I knew immediately what that synchronicity was trying to tell me. No, I'm not going to go into detail. It's none of your business right now. I might tell you later on when the time is right, but this is not the time right now. It immediately awakened it. Charles, good to see you, man. Glad you're here. Hang in with me. I'm almost done, though. Kind of caught me at the tail end. Give me some hearts while you're here, and also invite your friends and tell them to come over and have a listen. There are certain synchronicities and signs that will come up in your life, not just numbers, although those numbers are significant as well, and you should learn what those numbers mean and what they're encouraging you to do. They are not just it can come in the form of a dream. It can come in the form of a visitation or a vision that you have. It can come in the form of just a natural occurrence that seems out of place, yet it resonates with your soul. Those are the times you need to pause and think and meditate and tap in so that you're able to understand, what is life trying to awaken in me? What is it that the universe and nature, what is it that God and the angels are conspiring together to remind me of? Hey, love and grace. So glad that you're here. Okay? Neuroscience adds another fascinating dimension, and I'm almost through. The brain is equipped with what researchers call, listen to this, reticular activating system, or RAS for short, which is a network that filters the overwhelming amount of sensory information we encounter every day. The RAS naturally prioritizes whatever aligns with our most dominant belief, intentions, and focus. When our consciousness begins orienting itself toward our deepest purpose, we become increasingly aware of opportunities, relationships, resources, and ideas that were always present, always around us, but we were not consciously aware of them. But now that the synchronicity has triggered our RAS, come on, our rectal activating system within our brain, we now become consciously aware of these things that were always there. This is neuroscience. This is not spiritual, mystical mumbo jumbo. This is neuroscience. Go look it up. Rectal activating system, RAS. Okay? It is not that the universe suddenly begins to speak. It's not that you are suddenly hearing this James Earl Jones voice from the outside. This is seeing it. No, it is that your soul, because of whatever this encounter, this synchronicity, this calling, summoned you to a place that awakened the part of the soul that became again aware of a truth, of a reality that has always been right there around you, but you were not consciously aware of. And now you begin to align with it. Your soul becomes attuned to the still small voice. Y'all remember that text? Yeah. So you are no longer distracted by the rumble of the mountain and the earthquake or the falling of the fire or the roar of the wind, but you're able to hear the still small voice. He that hath an ear to hear, let him hear what the Spirit is saying to the church or the temple or the dwelling place of God. That's you. You are the temple of God. I'm not talking about that building you go and shout and dance in. It's about you. Whoever has an ear to hear, let him hear what the Spirit is now saying to the temple, to you. What is God saying to you inside? What is emerging? What is it that life and the universe and this great cloud of witnesses are trying to get you to pay attention to remind you of? Thank you, N. That's what your name is, just a bunch of N's. He said, you're saying my beard looks hella good. Thank you. I appreciate it. I am cute, huh? A little conceited. No, I'm not. No, I'm just playing. All right? I'm almost done. Here we are. This also helps us to understand why intuition becomes increasingly reliable as we mature spiritually. I want to encourage you to start trusting your intuition. It's not some wild, crazy feeling or some unexplainable thing. It has roots in what is summoning you to this higher place. I want you to start responding to the call. Listen now. The text says, whoever was predestined, them he also, not his calling, has already called. So what you are catching is the echo of the call that went out before time ever began. Woo! Did you catch what I just said? What you are catching in your soul, what your ear is hearing and picking up is the reverberation and the echo. Hey! Of what was spoken and declared in God prior to the formation of the earth. And since you were the co-creator, guess whose voice you're hearing? The voice of God. But it sounds like who? You. Because you and God were one, and you spoke it, and it reverberates through the eons of time, reminding you of who you are and why you are. Man, I got more. I got so much more that I haven't even begun to tap into and tell you about, but it's already been an hour and a half. I went 30 minutes over, so I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. Yeah, I know, and I barely looked over here at y'all. Y'all think I haven't forgotten you. I know you're here. Thank you. Thank you for hanging in there with me. I appreciate you, all of you as well. I appreciate you, you too. I appreciate you as well, all of you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Before I jump off, does anyone have any questions, any comments, anything that you need me to address? Go ahead and put it in the comments right now. Do it quickly before we go off. I'm getting ready to leave the air in just a few moments. Man, I told you it was going to be good. I told you it was going to be life-changing. You are called. You're being summoned. So pay attention to the synchronicities. Pay attention to the still small voice that's speaking inside of you. That voice that you call something. Something told me not to go there. Something told me not to do this. Something told me I should do that, that I should go here, that I should behave this way. Something told me that something that something is the voice of God. It is your divine voice speaking through the ages. It is the call of God summoning you. Something told me it was time to end that relationship, to walk away from this, to leave that job, to move from this city. And you keep resisting because you're comfortable, because it's familiar. Sometimes it's not even comfortable. It's painful, but it's familiar. So you'd rather stay there in the pain of familiarity than the discomfort of something that is unfamiliar. I'm telling you, you've been called to something bigger, something greater than you can ever imagine. Hey, Bobby, man, great musician. Thank you for stopping through, bro. I stop through to listen to you as often as I can. Great, great, great. There's some great musicians over here on the clock. I'm telling you right now, I have a bunch of them that I follow anytime they're on live, I try and jump on so I can listen. If anybody who knows me knows I love smooth jazz. I love it. Guitar, saxophone, piano, no matter what it is. I absolutely love it. All right. I don't see any other questions or anything coming up. Thank you again for tuning in. Listen, I'd like to ask those of you who can and who will to give or sow a seed in some way to support this platform. Those of you who can and will, I'm going to put on screen all of the different ways that you're able to give and support. It's on screen right now. Now, it's not over here on the clock. I don't have a way of putting that up, but my Cash App is $ emergelec. $EMERGELEC. Emerge LEC. You're more than welcome to give using that. Those of you who are on the other platforms, you see on your screen that you can give by CashApp, by Zelle, by PayPal, or Venmo. And there's no specific amount. I'm just asking you to give something as a token of appreciation for the teaching that you've been getting and receiving, and show the value that you place upon this platform and what you're learning from being a part here. I'd also like to invite every single one of you to become an active partner with the Emerge movement. We're not a church. It's not a church. It is a virtual community of movement where we empower you with all the tools to be able to create, cultivate, and curate the life you design. So I'm putting it on screen now. If you'd like to become a part of our community, everything you need is on screen. Those of you who are watching me on the clock, you already know. It's on the poster behind me. It's on every single video that I've posted over here on the clock. on another platform that's not patriotic, but akin to that word. I'm trying to say it without saying it, okay? And it's also in my bio over here on the clock. You can just click the link and it'll take you over to that patriotic platform. And it's absolutely free to become a partner. There is a paywall for those who'd like to become paid partners, and it's extremely cheap. It's only $20 a month. Behind the paywall is where you get the real benefit, because there's so much teaching and so much insight and revelation. We have the physical fitness plan there. We have the financial fitness plan there. We have the teachings about the all of the keys to the universe. We have the teachings about altars that are there. We have so much information packed into that one place and everything. And then it gives you freer access to me to ask me questions anytime, any day. And you get discounts on all of the merchandise and everything else that we do with Emerge. I invite you to become an Emerge partner today. Okay? Thank you again for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of the empowerment session. I hope that you enjoyed listening as much as I enjoyed teaching it. Hey, Rhonda, I'm getting ready to go now, but I'm so glad you came anyway. Unfortunately, they don't have replay on the clock, but you can go over to the tuberations and the book, as well as the gram, and it'll be replayed there, and watch it. Or you can click the link in the bio and it'll take you to the patriotic site. These names that I'm giving these places. But yeah, and you're able in the free section to rewatch the replay of it and get the full gist of all that we discussed. Okay? My inbox and email is always open, so you can email me with any questions or concerns that you might have. I'm more than happy to address them. All right? It's been 1 hour and 30 minutes. It's been a good time. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for your generous seeds, your offering. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you next week at the same time, 6 p.m. for the next Emerge Empowerment Session. Good night, everybody.
Some of you are even afraid to dream, afraid to imagine. But I'm here to tell you that you are an infinite, limitless, boundless being. Are you willing to do what is necessary to have what you desire?
You've been listening to Apostle Isaac Miles, the disruptive innovator, a mentor, an author, a motivational speaker, an entrepreneur, and the founder and spiritual director at emergelec Life Enrichment Center. Please take a minute to subscribe, like, and share this page. If you'd like to become a partner, you can do so by emailing us at emerge.lifecenter@gmail.com. Again, that's emerge.lifecenter@gmail.com. Once again, thank you for watching.